Hey, how's it going? If you don't know me, my name is Paul, and this is Art Explorers Club. This is a channel that's dedicated to everything that can stir the imagination through creativity. That creativity is the foundation for establishing a new paradigm for our kids. I have a 6-year-old daughter, and I am really focused on how we can understand the best ways to help our children prosper as we surge forward into the new millennium. There's a lot of things to consider and a lot of angles to pursue that consideration. I am first and foremost someone who thinks about this stuff and really likes to ruminate. I write constantly, and I'm starting this YouTube channel just to get my thoughts out there, see if they resonate with other people, and hopefully establish connections and build a community around this. I run my own little community on skool.com. That's SKOOL. And this is a new frontier for social media, in that there's no political, ideological nonsense flooding the algorithm. Lots of positivity, lots of people supporting each other, and lots of ideas that are center around building a more positive, brighter future. So if you like that, and that sounds like something that resonates with you, like and subscribe, follow, check it out. Go to my school community and hopefully, get involved. But as I build this out, I want to present ideas that hopefully engage parents specifically, but really anyone who's interested in these topics, and start this conversation so we can have a clearer understanding of where we're going. And in past videos, I've talked about AI, I've talked about just children engaging with technology. And today I was thinking about how we are living in this really unique moment in human history where we are super secularized in this country, in the US, and I think broadly the world. The modern era is kind of defined by this shaking off the cudgels of religion and moving into a new, brighter, enlightened era of secularism. And I've just noticed more and more, especially as I get older, and especially as I watch my child grow, that this utopian, I know those aren't words, but seems to be falling or running into some problems. I think really secularizing how we interact with our deeper psyche, it really compels us to use science as a means to explain what's going on in our brains. And science is a wonderful tool. It's very helpful, and it's revolutionized how we interact with the world. But we can't quite grasp everything going on up here. And let me just give you an example. So at the beginning of the month, I was starting to build out my maker space in my living room, which I have other videos for if you want to check that out. And I went on to various forums, various internet marketplaces, most notably Facebook Marketplace, to find a floor covering that would help protect the floors for this ensuing makerspace. There were lots of options, but nothing quite fit what I was looking for. I wanted something waterproof and easy to put down that wouldn't require really intervening with the floor too much that would damage the floor. So rubber tiles were where I was going. Well, in my search, there wasn't really anything that fit my exact specifications and price point, or just convenience in the local New York City area. So I was reluctant to settle on these blue carpet tiles, which I ended up purchasing. And now what that has done has created a very prominent, distinct aesthetic for my makerspace. So my mindset going into it was not adamant about that. But coming out of it, it has changed my perspective entirely on what that means and how that informs everything. So just the color alone creates meaning. And I was thinking about how when those moments happen, how we can conceive of something through this lens of what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. We are projecting our will into the universe. And that will finds itself in the physical world. And I think that's totally fascinating. It really does create its own meaning. So even though this seems like a very mundane, very anodyne concept of like, oh, you just found a color and put it down, and now that color's informing how you're going to go about building your space out or defining your aesthetic or whatever. I think it's more than that. It's so much deeper than that. We have this bizarre capacity to instill meaning in things. And that's really what art is in my grand theory. And that's what we humans are designed to do. That's like our entire function on this earth, I think, as conscious beings. And science can give us an awareness of why that happens. Maybe it can point to some physical thing going on inside of our brains as to why we're doing that. But I don't believe there's a route for science to answer exactly why we can do that, other than a very generic kind of presentation of it as, oh, well, we have to establish meaning in order for the world to make sense. But really, it's a weird adaptive skill that we have, that we can decide internally, each and every one of us, we can decide what is meaningful and how something can be meaningful. And it is truly a decision. It's not we stumble upon something and it is meaningful just for existing. It's a decision that we consciously make. And that to me is just unique in itself, and something that I don't believe science can ever satisfyingly answer. So what do you think? Is this something that maybe I'm missing a whole big chunk out of, that I'm not really considering other parts of enough? Or, that phenomenon of when you're shopping for something like a new car, you want a specific model. If you want like a Hyundai Elantra, and then you start seeing Hyundai Elantras all over the place when you never noticed them before. I know that has a name. There's a phenomena that I think it's literally colloquially called like new car phenomenon or something. Concept of like attuning your awareness and finding that specific thing. That's not quite exactly what I'm talking about, but it's in that same wheelhouse of tuning awareness and then defining meaning through that awareness. I think the brain has such a fascinating capacity to do so much, and it's informed by our conscious interaction with the environment. And that conscious interaction with the environment is defined by imagery and symbolism. And how do we do that? We do that with art. I think why we make art obsessively, and why the human brain and the human animal is obsessed with making art and we can't stop making art, is because we're the conscious mind is constantly searching for ways to interpret reality, to refine our interpretations of reality. So all of those things are baked into what we do day to day. So we can notice something on the street. We can have a new color carpet define how we approach our new life venture. Something as simple as how a room shapes up to be, how something as simple as the aesthetic of a bedroom or a living room can really shape the future of our lives just by us imbuing it with meaning consciously. So what do you think? Does that make sense? Are there some examples that you have that you can think of that really make your world a different place because you have consciously decided that something is meaningful? Let me know. I love these kind of things, so let's keep the conversation going. Check out my school profile, or check out my school community, Art Explorers Club, on School, and stay tuned. Thanks.